Hi, welcome back to Olympic Ambitions, our sort of behind the scenes look at the early season preparations of some of our ALTIS athletes down here in beautiful Grand Cayman at the beautiful resort of Palm Heights. Today I want to talk about recovery and regeneration and kind of some of the things that we do, what things that we look at when we're doing, when we're thinking about these, programming these days. Just to give you a little bit of context, our week looks like this essentially right now. Monday is an acceleration themed day. Tuesday is an upright themed day. It's mostly speed on a Tuesday. Wednesday is recovery and regeneration. And then Thursday and Friday are kind of similar to Monday and Tuesday, with Friday just being a little bit more volume than the Tuesday. So it's an acceleration theme, and then an upright theme, recovery, and then the same again. And then Sunday is totally off. So the question then that sort of gets is, what do we do on the Wednesday and Saturday, those recovery days? And typically what I like to do there in those days is get away from really specific work as much as I possibly can and do super general work that has really very little to do with actual sprinting. So I don't want to do any tempo. I don't want to get on the track. I want to be away from the track and doing different things in different ways. As a typical, base heuristic here, the less the relatedness between the actual sporting task, the more general we can be with the training, right? So we can go and do bike, we can go and do hiking, we can do, yoga, Pilates, so on and so forth. And one of the things that we have down here, we've got access to, and you may wonder why I'm sitting in this little ring here, is we've got access to 3-time world Muay Thai champion, Charlie Peters, who's down here on a residence. So I talked to Charlie last week and asked him if he'd be willing to take some of our athletes through just a little regeneration and recovery, which ended up being a little bit of a work capacity session, but that's okay, as a bit of a regeneration session in the middle of the week. So that's what we did this past week. On Wednesday, he took a bunch of our athletes through some really fun stuff, and I think that's really important, right? Because it's not just what we're regenerating and recovering the physiological systems, but it's also important to regenerate and recover the mental, emotional, psychological systems. And when you're doing something different in different ways and introducing a little bit of fun aspect to it, this is really important to know.
Hey people, my name is Charlie Boy Peters, former 3-time Muay Thai world champion, former UK #1 Muay Thai world champion. I've had just under 70 professional fights, full worldwide, and now currently retired. So my trainer was very much old school, wanted to kick faster, punch faster, kick more, punch more. I love that. It definitely builds something different inside you. Scientifically, it's probably not always the best results, but it works and it created a lot of champions. For the last 3 years of my career, I started working with Anthony Fletcher. He started introducing some more strength and conditioning. So the cross-training kind of happened the last 3-4 years of my career, and I loved it. He first introduced like trap bars, power sprints on the curve, weighted chin-ups, all of those sort of things. The cross-training certainly helped with my career. It produced a lot more power when punching, certainly improved my cardiovascular conditioning, but it was just a hell of a lot more stress on the body, which with an old school coach, it caused a lot of problems with that. But I loved it, I enjoyed it, and it definitely changed my physique and definitely improved my performance. So the benefits of cross-training, I think, are great if the cross-training is to help benefit the actual sport of the athlete. So S&C for me with the Muay Thai, the same with the runners, S&C with running. On this trip, I took them through some Muay Thai. So I took a couple of the athletes from Muay Thai, so working to a different form of cross-training. Now this cross-training isn't going to benefit their running specifically, but what it's going to do is it's going to keep their body working and moving. So they're going to work different movement patterns, and they're going to be definitely working some muscle groups that they wouldn't normally be working when doing their running, S&C, or track workouts. But also it keeps the excitement and the enjoyment for training. So they're still working cardiovascularly, they're still working their muscles, they're still working their joints, transverse motions, all their different planes, but they're enjoying it as well. And I think for me, sometimes training is just all about enjoying it. So they get a little bit more spark, a little bit more energy, and then the next day they go and enjoy the session even more. So the importance of rotation in Muay Thai is massive. Every time you throw the punch, you have to rotate the shoulders, you have to incorporate the hips. Every time you kick, every time you knee, you're rotating through the spine. So rotation is massive. Power presses, rotations with the bands, power medicine balls that throws up against the wall. rotation power is one of the biggest things. If you get a static fighter who can only work in the other planes of motions, you're not going to get any power. Transverse rotational power, that's exactly where the power comes from. So it's huge. It's huge. Probably one of 80 to 90, maybe even 100% of what you do in Muay Thai is transverse rotational power.